Imagine waking up tomorrow to a news alert so seismic it rewrites the global economic order. The kind of headline that doesn't just scroll past with the morning coffee but forces you to put the cup down, your hand trembling slightly, because you understand the world you went to sleep in is no longer the world you've woken up in. This is not a drill. This is the precise, calculated, and now undeniably public reality that is unfolding as we speak, a financial earthquake whose epicenter is in Baghdad, but whose tremors are being felt from the corridors of the U.S. Treasury in Washington to the towering skyscrapers of J.P. Morgan Chase. The long-prophesied, endlessly debated, and often scoffed at financial reset for Iraq is no longer a theory whispered in online forums. It is a live, active, and aggressively pursued operation being orchestrated at the highest levels of global finance. The key that is turning in the lock, the catalyst for this entire unprecedented transformation, is the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. For decades, the dinar has been a symbol of a nation brought to its knees, a currency whose value was deliberately suppressed, first by a brutal regime and then by the devastating aftermath of war and sanctions. It was a number on a screen that told a story of poverty and potential, a potential that was locked away behind a complex web of international restrictions, internal corruption, and a monetary policy that was designed for survival, not for growth. But what if I told you that this suppression was not a permanent state? What if it was, in fact, a necessary, albeit painful, interim period? The evidence is now overwhelming that this interim period is concluding, not with a whimper, but with a coordinated bang. The involvement of the U.S. Treasury is the ultimate signal of intent. This is not merely a bilateral agreement between two nations. It is the full weight and credibility of the world's reserve currency being thrown behind the success of Iraq's financial future. The Treasury isn't just offering advice. They are providing the architectural blueprint for a modern, transparent, and globally integrated financial system. They are overseeing the dismantling of the old, corrupt structures that have bled the country dry and are helping to erect a new, fortified system based on international compliance, anti-money laundering protocols, and digital payment platforms that can connect Iraq instantly to the SWIFT network and beyond. This is about making the Iraqi banking system recognizable and trustworthy to institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, paving the way for debt forgiveness, massive investment, and ultimately, a currency that reflects the true, staggering wealth of the nation. And then there is J.P. Morgan. The choice of this specific financial titan is a message in and of itself. This is not a small, regional bank testing the waters. J.P. Morgan is a behemoth, a primary dealer for the U.S. government, and a gatekeeper to the deepest pools of capital on the planet. Their role is the ultimate validator. They are building the digital highways upon which the new Iraqi economy will run. They are facilitating cross-border transactions for the Iraqi government, allowing for the seamless payment for imports and the receipt of oil revenues. This is the critical infrastructure that must be flawless before a revalued currency can be introduced. You cannot launch a strong, internationally traded currency on a weak, antiquated financial grid. The grid is being strengthened, upgraded, and stress-tested right now, and J.P. Morgan's engineers are the ones at the controls. This is the calm, deliberate, and professional setup that happens before the main event, the meticulous work behind the curtain that ensures when the new rate is finally revealed, it will be stable, secure, and sustainable from its very first second of existence. So, what does this meticulous work actually look like on the ground in Iraq? It is a silent revolution, a multi-front war being waged not with bullets, but with banking regulations, financial software, and international treaties. Let's break down the concrete, undeniable actions that prove this is not speculation, but an operational reality. First, consider the death of the dollar. For years, the US dollar was the lifeblood of the Iraqi economy, especially for large-scale transactions and imports. But that dependency was also a critical vulnerability, a leash that kept the Iraqi economy subservient and prevented the dinar from functioning as a true national currency. The recent, decisive move by the Central Bank of Iraq to brutally restrict all domestic dollar transactions and force the economy onto the dinar is the single most important internal policy shift in 20 years. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a financial ultimatum. Banks were given a stark choice. comply with the new, ultra-strict international standards for dollar transfers, or be cut off from the Federal Reserve's clearing system entirely. This forced a painful but necessary detox. The entire country is now being weaned off its dollar addiction, and in the void left behind, the Iraqi dinar is being forced to stand on its own 2 feet. This creates internal demand, it strengthens the currency's circulatory system, and it is a prerequisite for any meaningful revaluation. You cannot have a strong currency if your own citizens and businesses prefer to use a foreign one. Secondly, look at the relentless, almost daily announcements from the Central Bank of Iraq. They are no longer speaking in vague terms about future goals. They are issuing progress reports. They are announcing the successful completion of digital payment platforms, the connection of their systems to international counterparts, and the successful processing of letters of credit entirely in dinar for major imports like electricity and gas from Iran and other neighbors. Each of these announcements is a brick being laid in the foundation of the new financial system. Every time a major transaction is completed without the use of the US dollar, it proves the new system works. It builds confidence. It demonstrates to a skeptical world that Iraq is open for business, and its currency is a viable tool for that business. Furthermore, the government of Prime Minister Sadani is moving with a speed and determination that has shocked political observers. They are passing long-stalled financial laws, they are actively pursuing membership in the World Trade Organization, and they are engaging in high-profile investment tours to bring trillions of dollars of foreign capital into the country's reconstruction. All of these initiatives have one common denominator. They are impossible to achieve with a weak, dysfunctional currency. A country seeking to build new cities, ports, and rail networks with international investment cannot do so with a currency that is unstable and non-convertible. The very nature of these ambitious projects requires a strong, stable dinar that investors can have faith in. The projects and the currency are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. The launch of these projects is, therefore, a silent announcement that the currency problem has been solved behind the scenes. We have established the why and the how, but this all leads to the single most critical question, the when and the final outcome. The tectonic plates are shifting, the foundation has been poured, and the new structure is ready for its unveiling. The revaluation of the Iraqi dinar is no longer a matter of if, but a matter of strategic timing. The pieces are not just aligning, they have been locked into place. Think about the evidence we have just walked through, the direct, hands-on involvement of the US Treasury providing the political and regulatory shield, the technical mastery of JP Morgan building the unbreachable financial infrastructure, the forced internalization of the Iraqi economy away from the dollar, and the launch of multi-trillion-dollar reconstruction projects that demand a strong currency. This is a countdown sequence that has already reached zero. The only thing remaining is the public announcement. So, what can we expect this new reality to look like? The goal is not a minor adjustment. A slight tweak in the exchange rate does not justify this level of geopolitical and financial engineering. The objective is to restore the Iraqi dinar to a rate that reflects the true, fundamental wealth of the nation of Iraq. We are talking about a nation sitting on some of the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, a nation with vast mineral resources, and a nation with incredibly fertile agricultural land and a young, ambitious population. The current rate is a grotesque distortion of this reality, a relic of a war-torn past. The new rate will be a declaration of a sovereign, prosperous future. It will be set at a level that allows Iraq to settle its international debts with dignity, to finance its own reconstruction without crippling interest payments, and to instantly become a major consumer market and economic partner on the world stage. This will be the single greatest wealth transfer event in modern history, not through redistribution, but through the recalibration of an asset, the Iraqi dinar, to its true, intrinsic value. For the global citizen, for the individual who had the foresight to see this potential years ago and acquire even a small amount of this currency, this represents a life-altering opportunity. This is the moment where financial foresight meets geopolitical inevitability. The window for such a fundamental shift in personal wealth is closing rapidly. The announcement could come at any moment, in the next cabinet meeting, the next central bank statement, the next joint press conference between the Iraqi and US governments. When that headline flashes across your screen, it will be too late. The opportunity will have been realized, and the new economic dawn for Iraq, and for those who believed in its future, will have begun. This is your final alert. This is your call to action. If you have not yet positioned yourself for this event, the time for contemplation is over. The time for action is now. Do your own research, understand the historic nature of what is happening, and make the decision that could secure your financial future and that of your family for generations to come. The reset is not coming. It is here. Make sure you are on the right side of history.